How often do you laugh at work? Imagine a small shift could help your team laugh more, complain less, and still take work seriously. What if one of the missing ingredients in meaningful work is actually humor? I'm Andrew Soren, and this is Meaningful Work Matters. Today, I'm joined by executive coach and humor ambassador Bea Bincze for a conversation about why meaningful work can feel so serious and heavy. We talk about how humor, playfulness, and what Bea calls fun framing can help make it lighter, more sustainable, and more human. You'll learn about perfectionism, stress, and psychological safety. And Bea shares a few small experiments that can help leaders and teams bring more joy into work that really matters. Welcome to the Meaningful Work Matters podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Soren, founder of Eudaimonic by Design. On this podcast, we'll dive into the world of meaningful work, explore its complexities, and examine its impact on people and the organizations they're a part of. Each episode features insightful conversations with cutting-edge experts who are successfully navigating the challenges of meaningful work. We hope to offer you ideas, frameworks, and tools to unlock potential and design work that's fulfilling, impactful, and supports everyone's well-being. Subscribe or follow us now, and let's make meaningful work matter. Bea Bincze, welcome to Meaningful Work Matters. It is a delight to be able to have you on this podcast. I met you, we were just saying, back in Innsbruck, Austria in, what was it, 2024, I think was the first time that we met. And we had back-to-back workshops at the European Conference of Positive Psychology. I was doing one on meaningful work, and you were doing one on humor, and we had the opportunity to meet at that specific moment and had a delightful time talking. And then it feels like we just keep running into each other at all of the positive psychology conferences that we go to ever since. We saw each other in Brisbane. We'll see each other in Dublin, and it's fun to be able to have you on this podcast talking about something that, well, frankly, I don't think that we talk very much about when it comes to meaningful work, which is humor and playfulness and fun. I think that meaningful work often feels very heavy, and I hope that this conversation helps us maybe reframe that a little bit. So welcome, Beth.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, I'm so happy to see you again. And yes, it's just so good to meet again and again. And I believe the positive psychology community is amazing. And when talking about humor, we are laughing so much and we are having so much fun on those conferences. And I believe that we can learn best in the moments of enjoyment. So that's excellent.
Maybe we can,
Shortly,
maybe we can start just by the question that I always ask guests. Just tell us a little bit about who you are and what makes your work meaningful, Bea.
Yes, I'm an ex-CFO turned executive coach and trainer. And I'm the kind of person who always wants to make the world a better place. And I believe that coaching is just a wonderful opportunity for that, because once we help people find their goals, one that are meaningful for them, and we can help them to achieve them faster or discover opportunities they never noticed, or changing their mindset, it's impacting not only the company leaders, but their employees and the families of their employees. So if you think about the multiplicator impact that we have as coaches, when I was a finance director and CFO, I've been working for General Electric. We were setting up companies from 0 to 750 people. We merged companies, implemented culture so there was lots of impact. And when I left GE and headhunters came to me, they asked so Bea, what are the kind of jobs that we should invite you for? And I said that, invite me to the places, to the positions where I can make an impact and it's helping people. and I can also learn. And of course, you have to pay for it, so it's not for free. But those were the two important things. Like really, if I enjoy what I do and I see that it's making an impact, it's really meaningful for me. And I'm so lucky to do that. And now, in this new role, I told that I've been CFO, then coach, trainer, and now I'm also a humor ambassador. And as a humor ambassador, my purpose is to help people laugh more and complain
Mm,
less.
that's
And I believe that's a very meaningful goal,
mhm,
especially today in
mhm.
this environment.
Absolutely. Humor ambassador. That's a great title. Maybe help us understand what it means. What does a humor ambassador do? What do you see your role as at this point?
Yes, when I've been working for GE, I was a perfectionist. I used to work really long hours and I really wanted to do very well. And of course, sometimes I felt that I'm not good enough for the job, but I added the extra hours. And later I discovered that I was a perfectionist. And today I'm a recovering perfectionist because once I learned to laugh at myself and notice that not everything is the end of the world. So I started to normalize mistakes, and humor helped me a lot when I can laugh at myself and when I can reframe. I love the word fun framing. This is the title of one of my books, the Perfectly Imperfect Fun Framing Playbook, because reframing something with humor is fun and it's memorable as well. So, and this is what I do often when I'm in a situation that is stressful or something I'm worrying about, then I play with it. And you said that it's good to play here, and I believe that playfulness, openness, and just having cheerfulness is the best way. Uh, Also, when I'm working with teams, when we are having fun, when we can laugh together, we can do so much more, and it's just a very different way of co-creation.
Hmm. Tell me more about fun framing and what that means.
Fun framing. The way I started to use that is I am a member of the Association of Applied and Therapeutic Humor, and at the Humor Academy, they have a 3 years Humor Academy. So I'm a certified humor professional as well,
I
because
just
there are
I just
so
have to
many.
say, sorry, I have to break in that like every everybody anybody that I've ever heard in the scholarly context talk about humor is so unbelievably unfunny. Like it's amazing how when we study these things, we kill all of the humor. And there's a joy in just even listening to you, Bea, because I feel like you've come from these professions like finance that maybe seem terribly unfun in all sorts of ways. And you took 3 year, humor certifications, which I would imagine at times was not fun. And you bring this kind of wealth of fun to this. I mean, I'm just enjoying and loving this conversation already. I'm sorry. I don't even know why I'm interrupting. I just needed to say that. I'm going to throw it back to you.
Yeah, I know. I'm not an academic. I'm a practitioner. So I'm focusing on the application. But basically, we had to make a humor project, and my humor project was to really help people discover that humor is not about joke telling, but really just enjoying yourself, finding the surprising things, and daring to laugh, and not worrying about all the things that can go wrong, because generally it doesn't go wrong. And if it does go wrong, in our workshops, we learn how to fix it, how to repair it. So it's not scary. And my first fun framing revelation was the humor project of one of my friend, Todd Hart. And he created a small sticker there was a red ball in the middle, and it said red light laughter. Todd went to work every morning, and in Hungary, people, when they are late and they are in a traffic jam, they are impatient, sometimes they even curse. So, I'm sure it never happened to you. But and so basically, Todd went to work, the traffic light turned red, and he started to get agitated. He arrived to the office. What does the team see? Oh, the boss has a bad day. What does this mean? The whole team has a bad day. And he's a very smart guy, so he decided that he needed to pick a humor project anyway. And this is something that he wanted to change. So why would he not start using, play with that? And he created this sticker and put on the dashboard. Because that when we have an old habit, changing it, switching it is not easy. But if there's a reminder, it can help. So he had the red light laughter sticker on the dashboard. And next day when he was going to the office and the traffic light turned red, then he started to laugh. And some people might have thought that this is funny or maybe there's some problem. But many people laughed at it. And when he arrived to the office, he had a very different mood and the whole team. And we know that people are more creative and productive when they are not in stress. We know that stress is hurting that. So isn't this better for everyone? And you cannot control whether the traffic light turns red, but you can control how you react. And I think that's one of the simplest way to explain. And since then, I often work with my clients in coaching. Like, so what is your challenge? What do you want to change? And then see on how you can use some kind of habit changing combined with humor. And it is helping more sustainable solutions. So much.
What's the research say about the value of bringing humor into work?
Oh my. You don't want to get me started. A friend of me, Anna Hatchard, she was in Innsbruck as well. That's where I met her. And she's just finishing her research PhD on laughter. And she said that laughter is today where meditation used to be 20 years ago. So in the last 20, 25 years, there are so many studies on how humor is helping health. And there are, with the fMRIs, there are more and more studies, but also like connecting with people, changing habit. It's one of the best stress coping mechanism. And there are just so many ways, like it's reducing the stress hormones and improving the feel-good hormone in our own personal drug factory. And basically, like leaders who have a good sense of humor get promoted faster, salespeople make more sales if they use some humor, and it is helping to build trust. One of my biggest regret that sometimes I go to companies where people do not dare to laugh. And you know that there's no psychological safety. Because if you feel like, oh, what if I say something and they feel that I want to hurt them or something goes wrong? And if there's no safety, people don't dare to use humor. And this is sad because laughing together is one of the best way to build trust, to connect with people. And yes, so it's definitely very important. And also, did you know there was a study showing that if we are with other people, we laugh 30 times more than when we are alone. So this means that humor is a team sport. And I remember that we were laughing so much in the teams where we were really feeling good and could create could make the most impact.
Okay, so we understand why humor might be important in the workplace, and I have all sorts of questions about meaningful work. But maybe before we get there, let's just also get a little bit clearer on like how does one bring humor into the workplace? Like what is humor? Like how do you define what humor is?
Humor, one thing that I always emphasize is that it's not joke telling. It's really about, there are different forms of humor. So there's the laughter, that is the physical form. There's the wit, so it is the smart way. And there's the mirth, that is, and I always say that I'm not funny, I'm cheerful. And there's a fourth version, that is the social connection. This is the category from Steven Sartanoff, who is using humor therapy. He's a therapist. And so this is one thing. The other thing that I love very much is, and that's going to be another new word. This is a day of new words. Sorry. And it's humergy. Uh,
Humergy. Humergy.
humergy.
Okay.
Mary Kay Morrison, she founded, like more than 20 years ago, the Humor Academy of the ATH. She created this word, and this is really the energy. And I love when what one of my teachers said that, Belle, the energy that you bring to the space is going to impact, just like what I said with the red light laughter, is going to impact how the others feel. And if you bring in humor and energy, that's what humergy, basically. And I tell everyone that whenever we want to have use more humor, we have to start with ourselves. Like in every change, by the way. So it's not something you never heard. And what helped me to believe that it's doable, because I always laughing and I love humor, but I never thought I could do that. And when I heard that you don't have to be funny, just find the fun around you.
Mm.
And once you notice and share and you laugh together, that's getting multiplied. And coaches, leaders, we are paying attention to the things, we are paying attention to it. And noticing fun is much easier. And yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, it makes me think so much of work that's been done by folks like Kim Cameron and others within the positive organizational scholarship space around this idea of positive energizers within any organization. That there are some people who are naturally heliotropic. And by that, I mean kind of like a flower turns towards the sun. That's kind of heliotropy. And so this idea that there are certain people within a network that you just want to hang out with. They're light spots within any kind of group dynamic. And my guess is that those people are also there's a lot of humergy going on there too. That whether they're the ones who are necessarily being funny or telling jokes, or more so, they're just the ones who are appreciating the humor that's around them, that are creating a sense of fun. That humergy is probably a big important part of being heliotropic in an organization.
Yes, I am sure. And also, many people think that it's easy for them, but I can't do that. And the good news is that, yes, you can. The small kids keep laughing. The peekaboo, you just raise your hand and they keep laughing all day. So I believe that people who have pets or small kids at home have an unfair advantage. They laugh so much more. And, but basically, have you ever been a child? Probably yes. And so we could do the same. We just don't exercise our humor muscles. And if we start again and we start paying attention, then it's becoming so much easier.
Hmm.
Let me give you
Yeah, please.
a personal example, and then, yeah. So I live in Budapest, in Hungary, and there were hardly any pregnant women in Budapest. And once I got pregnant, I don't know, that had to be a very special night because from one day to the other, the streets were full of pregnant women. So what happened? It was always there, but I did not notice. They were always there, but I did not notice them. And it's the same with humor. Whether you notice what's going wrong, what you have to you want to complain about, or whether you notice the surprising things, the funny things, that's just a switch. It's not an easy switch, let's face it. But if you just shift a bit your focus, I'm working with solution-focused coaching as well. And it's also like, do you see the problem or the solution? So it is so true in every part of our life. And I think that's the first way, that's really accepting failures, noticing what's funny and sharing, building on it. And then you can go to the more active one, like really actively changing.
Hmm. What are some of the other ways? Let's keep going there. I'm curious, how do you help people discover humor within their work lives?
What we generally do is to really look at, like, what are the things, the annoying things? What do you want to change? What do you want instead? And then see how it can, uh, how you can look at it differently, because it's at the end, it's a kind of perception. So I talked about me being a perfectionist, and that's leading to being able to I keep overthink certain things. And I keep saying that, our life would be so simple if we would not overcomplicate it. But I have a talent in this one.
You're not
And
alone.
I
You're not
created,
alone in that.
I think so. And I created an avatar for myself. And her name is Overthinkiny. And I just call her Thinkiny. So that's her nickname. And when there is something that I start like really spiraling about and overthinking, then thinking sometimes asks me, so where is this on a scale of where the 1 is the molehill and the 10 is the highest mountain on the world. So, and then it just like really thinking like, yeah, it's probably a 1 or 2. It's not that catastrophic. Then, or sometimes also from my clients when they are looking at things and it's like, oh my, and I don't know, I can't do anything. This learned helplessness. And then it's like, so where where is it on the catastrophe scale between the end of the world and, yeah, I need to make a call. And very often they just figure out that I need to go back to the boss and ask him to extend the deadline or something like this. But we can be really upset, either because we don't like to say no, or because we don't see that it's not such a terrible thing, and we can do much more.
Sure.
Generally, when we are very stressed out, we don't see the
Hmm.
opportunities, we just see the obstacles.
Hmm.
And just adding some humor can help you to find those opportunities.
What work, Bea, have you done with populations who do deeply meaningful work? And, we could think about nurses or educators or people who work in nonprofits or international aid, or, there's so many different kinds of professions who do deeply meaningful work, and where that work has a really, really high moral stake. Like it really feels like, wow, this work is kind of life or death. It really matters whether I show up. How does humor play out in those kinds of contexts?
I'm not very active in this one. I'm mainly working in the business environment. Can I give you a personal example? When I was maybe it was last year or the year before, at the humor conference, then listened to some presentations, and apparently in the US there are colleges where they are teaching humor for the caretakers. And I was very, very much intrigued by that. And I did not know that that's going to be relevant for me because 2 years ago, my mom had an operation, and after that, she had dementia, and she was in a very, very bad state. And I know that in the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor, we have many caretakers. And if you think about it, there are situations in the life when you cannot change that. I mean, what's happening is happening, and but it's very important how you are there. And I started to use humor with my mom. I found the old videos that we used to watch when I was small, and luckily she has a good mood. But also I started to watch videos. I said, UCLA had some very good videos on dementia, and I learned that old people are the same like small kids. Whatever is your mood, they are mirroring it. So I started to work on myself. So when I go back and I'm in a very bad mood, she feels very bad as well. And when I can smile at her and tell something kind and we can laugh together, she feels much better. And I know my sister keeps telling me, I don't know how can you be so patient. But basically, working on myself and bringing in humergy to this situation is because then it's more difficult. My mom lives with me. But when we laugh together, it's a very different experience than when we are both tense. And basically that's an example. And I actually now I just finished this book on coaching and humor, but I plan to write a book about joyful aging and really how can we accept what we have, dance with the body you have, because I'm not 20 anymore, but there are so many things we can do, and it's just making such a big
Hmm.
difference.
That's beautiful. There's something in that story that just reminds me of the fact that so much of humor is often tinged with pain, or suffering or frustration or failure, as you've said, that it's often in a reaction to it. And so I'm curious whether that's something that you've come across, or whether it's, yeah, is that a real thing? Is that a thing?
Absolutely. And I mean, humor can be a shield. Humor can be a weapon.
Mm,
That's generally the negative humor. And I help people to use positive humor. So preferably we laugh with the people, not at the people.
mm,
And sometimes it can show up in coaching like avoidance. When there is something they are not comfortable to talk about and want to avoid, they start jiggling. And
mm,
it's like a gauging situation, like, is this something that you are ready to talk about or not? And definitely never push it when they are not ready. But when they are, then we can look at it like what does it mean? What is happening? And then what they want instead, if they want to understand themselves better or they want to have something different. The other thing that I experienced, and I guess most of the people do, in Hungary we say that one day when you are in a really bad situation, that one day we will laugh at it. And generally that happens. 5 years later, 10 years later, you look back at those stories and those are the things that you are telling and we laugh. And basically being a humor ambassador helps me to switch over faster. Like really when I'm frustrated about something and it just comes to my mind that, well, you're a humor ambassador, that okay, how else could I look at it?
mm,
How I interpret it differently? And if I come up with some alternatives, then it just makes it easier.
mm,
And basically, those are the things that I do in daily work. And those are the things that we can also do in the coaching. Like sometimes we are looking at their inner voices, what the different inner voices say, what are the superpowers, how would this work like if they would have a magic wand, and just like being able to bring in the creativity and playing with that is just bringing in new insights. Because if you are, I'm so lucky because I work with so many very, very smart people. The challenge with them that they already played all the at least 100 different scenarios in their head, and they also already have the answer why none of them would work. And then helping them to look at it differently, you really have to get them out from, instead of working above their neck, bringing them down below the neck and really just helping to access the other resources that they have.
Mm-hmm. Two questions that will take us into potentially the dark sides of humor. So one question is around cultural difference. What kinds of cultural differences do you see around humor, or how do you navigate those differences?
There are many cultural differences, and even within the same cultures, there are huge differences. So the way I like, when I'm introducing myself, I always share that I'm a humor ambassador. So people choose to work with me knowing this. And I always say that that's not joke telling, so they should not expect a comedian. And so they generally have some kind of openness. But what I find that whether it is for the same culture or another culture, I always ask them how they would, like I invite the client to lead, because I just don't know what could be a red button for them that we don't want to push. I mean, I love clowns. I have many clown friends, the red nose clowns from the hospitals who are doing wonderful work. But there are people who are afraid of clown. And basically, what I found in day-to-day work, that bringing in lightness and openness can bring in smiles. And it doesn't have to be belly laugh. In a stressful situation, if you can just have a smile, take a deep breath, and then continue from there, it can already change the how safe they feel, how deep they dare to go, and very often they say something that they start laughing at. So basically, I never tell jokes, and but I always try to, when I notice something that is surprising, I I and they are open to listen to. I'm sharing with them, and I ask them how what that means, and we always play with what happened. And the low hanging fruit, I know that you have a background from theater because I listen to this podcast show,
Yeah.
callback. And to tell you truth, I don't know what's the word in Hungarian, but
Mm-hmm.
basically, if we say something in the coaching that makes us laugh, later on, I just repeat the word and it's the same reaction. So you don't have to tell the whole story or anything. So and that's also like noticing what's working in this environment, what's the openness of the person. Another thing, in really difficult situations, I love to quote my teacher, Karin Baxman, and she said she lives in California, but she has many friends in Florida. And when there's a hurricane season, then she sends a text like, "So how are you? Are you safe?" And in the after the message, it's postscript. She writes that, "And let me know when you are ready for a hurricane meme." And she doesn't send the meme right away, but generally they come back, "Now, I really need that. I need to let my stress go." And once they say they are ready, then you can send it. And it releases
Mm-hmm.
stress. But she never starts with this because that's a very tough situation. And I think that giving the people the choice if they are open or not, and invite them to choose, and then we can work with that. That's a pretty safe way in between cultures and within the cultures as well. That's what I feel, and it's so human, I believe. And the thing is that uh, very often we don't take the time to really give empathy first because we are in a hurry. And yes, and the other thing that we always look at, like, you cannot guarantee, even with the best intention, that there will not be mishaps. But if there are, you can always notice, because you can control what is your intention. You can control how you deliver the message, but you cannot control what will be the impact. What you can do to pay attention. This is what I expected. This is what happened. Is there a gap? And if there's a gap, stop right away, clarify, say sorry if needed, and repair it.
Hmm.
And you know what? If you do that, it's not hurting the trust, it's strengthening the trust.
Mhm. I love that. It makes me feel like really what you're doing is setting up these little micro experiments, trying to create a safe space to be able to do that, and then seeing what happens. If you were to give some advice to a listener to this podcast who wanted to start a little micro experiment around humor within their team, what would you say to them as far as, hey, here's a good place to start?
Yeah. Always start with yourself. I know you had this session with Brie Groff, who has this Today Was Funny,
Mm-hmm.
and this new book, and she wrote, I call it humor detective, like notice the funny things. She calls it spot the funny. And I think that's a very good exercise. Just start, try to find at least 3, 4 funny things every day. Notice it when there's something funny. Maybe start a little journal, because it will start training your humor muscles. And it's just like with the push-ups. The more you do, the easier it's gonna be. So I think that's a very good start. The other is that if you are a leader and you have a team, you don't have to be funny. You can encourage other people. What's important is to set the boundaries. Like, if it's a positive humor, if you laugh, if people laugh with each other and not at each other, that's a positive one. The other side, of course, the negative. And but once you have these clear rules, then you can encourage people. You can invite them to do the same. And if you hear anything funny from them and you reshare it with this one, you can just curate the humor
Hmm.
and make it part of the interactions in the team. And you know what? I know so many leaders who told that we might pay a bit less than the competitors, but my team doesn't want to leave because we have so much laugh, and we feel good together.
Mhm.
And I think that this can really make a
Mm.
difference.
If people want to learn more about you, the work that you do, the things that you've written, what would you recommend for them? Where should they go?
I have a web page, humorambassadors.com, on which there are links from to the different programs. I have my favorite program is a 6 time 2 hour session. It's the Humor Ambassadors Train the Trainer, because I really believe that helping people laugh more and complain less is an important thing, and I cannot do that alone. I really want to start a ripple effect, and everyone who is willing to take it, starting to build their own humor habits and starting willing to help their environment, are welcome to join. And they also work on a humor project on bringing it somewhere to their day-to-day work, to their life. So I have some certified humor ambassadors who created workshops on humor and mindfulness. One of the humor ambassador is working for a company with restructuring, and the morale was very low. And she held some humor workshops, and they started to practice fun framing to feel better, because there are things you cannot influence, well, you cannot control, but you can change how you react and how you interpret.
Mm.
So I believe yeah, I hope that there will be more and more people who do that, because it's nothing special that I'm doing. I believe everyone can do that. And the more we laugh and the less we stress, the better the world will be.
Well, Ambassador Bea, thank you very much for bringing your humor here, for helping us see how meaningful humor can be, and for helping us do a little fun framing on this podcast. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in Dublin.
Absolutely. And we will have a few laughs there
We
together.
sure will.
Thank you. Bye bye, Andrew.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Meaningful Work Matters. If you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. And if this episode resonated with you, please take a moment to leave us a review. Your feedback helps us make this podcast better and reach more listeners. You can connect with me, Andrew Soren, on LinkedIn, or visit www.eubd.ca to learn more about Eudaimonic by Design. Finally, if what you heard today spoke to you, tell your colleagues and people in your community about our podcast. We really appreciate your support in making meaningful work matter. See you next time.